So in this video, what I've got for you guys is my first ever best class setup video for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and in today's video we're going to be covering the NV4, arguably my favourite weapon in the game so far. I definitely love using this weapon, definitely one of the better assault rifles in the game. And of course, to start things off, we will be using the NV4 Fallout, which is the legendary variant. It's the one where you're able to get the nuclear. Of course, there might be some better variants out there that you might want to use, but for this particular video, we will be using the Fallout. Now, straight away, let's jump into our attachments. One of the first things you do want to do with this weapon, in my opinion, is select an optic. I'll be using the ELO sight, as it's just one of the better sights in the entire game. You can see your magazine size on the actual sight itself as well, which is very useful. It means that you can stay on target and you don't necessarily need to keep looking towards the bottom right of your screen. For our first attachment after our sight, we will be using Quick Draw. This allows you to snap onto your enemies much faster. With this weapon having quite a slow fire rate, it might be advised that you should use Quick Draw on your weapon so you can just get an additional advantage. Being able to put one or two more bullets into your enemies a little bit faster will of course mean that you'll be able to get that kill of your enemies. Our next attachment is going to be stock. I always think that this is mandatory for assault rifles. It's going to increase your movement speed whilst aiming down sights, and overall it's just going to make the gun feel a lot better. Now for our third/fourth attachment, because of course we did use that optic sight, we're going to be using the suppressor. Now in this game, unlike many other Call of Duty titles, the suppressor doesn't really affect your gun in a negative way. Usually you'll have massive damage decreases, but in this game I don't really find that to be the case. I'm still finding that I can drop a lot of people a lot faster than they can drop me, and the suppressor of course will keep you off the enemy minimap whilst firing, and overall this is just going to make for a deadly combination of attachments on your weapon that you're going to find very advantageous. Now let's move on to our perks. Straight away, I will say we will not be selecting any tier 3 perks, but instead we will be selecting 2 tier 1 perks. Our first one will be Ghost. Of course, we're using the suppressor, so stick Ghost on as well. Just going to make you completely invisible on the enemy minimap, which of course is something you want. Be very stealthy, be very sneaky, sneak up behind the enemies, try and get in the enemy spawn, stuff like that. Very useful perk, especially if the enemies always use the UAV. Next up, we will be using Dexterity. This is going to allow you to reload and switch your weapons faster. Now, of course, we're not using a secondary weapon for this class setup, but what I would advise with this weapon is that you should always pick up an enemy's weapon, even if it's a pistol, SMG, anything like that. Just pick one up, because we're not going to be using Scavenger on this class, and you're going to find that you will run out of bullets very quickly. Of course, we are using the nuclear variant of this weapon, but it doesn't necessarily mean you do need to go for the nuclear. If you want to do that, then of course do use Scavenger in place of the tier 2 perk, which is going to be Hardline. Now, Hardline is going to be very useful because it's going to allow us, of course, to get bonus points for every kill, up to 8 kills. This is going to be very advantageous when we're going for those kill streaks. For your kill streaks, it doesn't really matter what you use, it's all down to personal preference, but I've found that quite often it might just be better to use just the UAV, so you can cycle through them as quickly as possible, so you've pretty much got a constant UAV. And if you are going for that nuclear, this is definitely advised. Maybe you could use the advanced UAV if you're finding yourself getting a lot of UAVs in one single life. And overall, this does mean that it will be a very deadly class, and I assure you guys that if you use this class, you're going to find yourself getting high on those leaderboards very often. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave the video as that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I've been Long Sensation, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.